Well, hey there, Diet Disruptors. Carrie here. And if you are watching this either live with me or on our video, I want you to see my background. This is a really big day. Now, for the last, oh my goodness, I don't know, 6 weeks or more, we have been sharing flashback episodes of our podcast. Why? Well, I have gone through a massive life change. Now, my priority is always on our clients, our members. And so I was showing up for them regardless of this massive life change every single week. If you are a client or a member, I was there. They know what's been going on with me. So I'll give you a little bit of a recap and also what this background is. So about 2 years ago, my husband and I decided we were going to invest in this tiny little bungalow house on the beach. It was about 25 minutes from where we lived, and it was this area I've been dreaming about, but we knew that getting a house on the beach was real hard. So we bought this little bungalow that needed to be a fixer-upper. It's going to be an investment property. We're going to maybe do an Airbnb with it. Well, the way life shows up, and I always say you can't always control your circumstances, but you can always control your response. Well, as we went to start renovating this little 1,000-square-foot bungalow, we realized we needed to fully tear it down because it wasn't savable. And as we did, the foundation completely crumbled. So we ended up buying a very expensive piece of dirt. And it was hard because life showed up. I mean, we had to reconfigure all of our plans. We were living in our forever home and realized in order to be able to build this home, it didn't make sense to build a 1,000-square-foot bungalow. The price per square foot was ridiculous. So we knew we had to go 3 stories up, like you can do in the beach here, and build our forever home, therefore needing to sell our previous home. And so all of this happened in a matter of the last 3 months. We put our house on the market. We sold it within a day, had to be out before our house was ready. And we lived in chaos. One of the things that I talk about all the time is that I do not just teach people how to eat. I mean, sure, I'm going to show you how to serve your body, how to serve your soul, how to be able to have the last nutritional advice you'll ever need by balancing your blood sugar and really understand your body's love language. That's the easy part. Because when life shows up and throws curveballs at you, we never really have learned how to handle it. So what do? We put ourselves always on the back burner. We go and put out the fire. And then the longer the fire is burning, the harder and harder it is to get back on things. And you look back at yourself 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years, and you say, how did I get here? I was just on the phone with a woman who, when I asked her, be honest with yourself, how long have you been dieting? She said 30 years. And basically it was just sort of this compilation, and it wasn't even just dieting. It was just like not focusing on herself at all. This compilation of life and work and kids and not knowing how to balance it all. So when we sold our house, we had no place to live. And we, for a month, lived in 3 different Airbnbs, 3 different hotels. We sent our oldest off to college for her freshman year. My youngest got into a car accident. It was a lot. And so we are all about showing up for yourself, even if it's 1% a day. And while my life did not look anything like it normally did, I still managed to show up for myself intentionally every single day. I woke up every day. I always say, if you brush your teeth every day, you can show up for yourself in some way. So every day I did that morning time intentional planning. I love our planner pad bundle that really helps focus us. Now, did I work out every day? No. Is my nutrition pretty well on par? It really actually is, because it's just so simple. It's second nature. But one of the things I said was, okay, I'm going to have to take a step back from the podcast. I knew there were things I'm just not going to be able to do. And I prioritized the things that I knew I needed to get done. So my team has been incredible. A shout out to Lindsay and to Jake and to Mandy and to Steph, all of the people who have been going back and rewatching previous podcast episodes and sharing with you what they thought was like the most impactful, looking at what got the most comments, the most responses. So you had a lot of flashback episodes, and I am so excited that you did, because sometimes we lose some of the goodies that are in there. But today, more than 2 months after, we kind of threw our life upside down by selling our house very quickly, I am now in my new house. We are living a dream by the beach, and this is my kitchen. And so I decided to do this first podcast today from my kitchen so that I could welcome you into my home and just remind you that, yeah, life is going to show up, but it is never going to be an excuse to not show up in some way for yourself. Because I was intentional, because every morning I was still, after brushing my teeth, showing up for my morning time, I never let the bird poop get too big. Bird poop? What does that mean? I always give this metaphor. In my other house, we had a pool. And whenever we would put the cushions on the loungers, every day there was this bird that would poop on one of the lounge chairs. And every morning, as part of my morning routine, I'd get up, I'd go get one of the microfiber cloths and go wipe the bird poop off. It was not a big deal. I mean, it was kind of gross, but whatever. If I would leave to travel or be on vacation for a few days, that bird poop would get really piled up and it would be gross. And over the time, because I would let that happen more often than probably I should have, that cushion got stained and it was like really impossible to get it completely clean. So I think about our morning time, our morning intentions, to be able to get our mindset, our thinking, our body in the right place. It's like cleaning bird poop off of that chair. If I show up every day and I reflect on the day before and I'm intentional about my day ahead, I don't let time control me, but I control time. If I understand what's ahead of me, and it's not that I'm planning out every minute of my day, but I am clear about what I'm going to do to show up for myself. Now, curveballs get thrown all the time, but because I'm showing up for myself and recalibrating every morning, I'm wiping the bird poop off. Put in the comments if you're watching this live, if you're driving and listening to the podcast, don't do that. But if you are able to, put in bird poop in the comments. Because if you are recalibrating every morning and reflecting on your day before and getting ready for the day ahead, looking at your calendar, time blocking the big rocks, and really understanding that, you aren't ever going to let the bird poop get too big. And it's just super important. I lived that for those last 2 months, and I know it works. I mean, outside of a massive tragedy, I will argue with anybody that you were not busier than I was over these last 2 months. Downsizing from a really large house to a house half the size, sending my daughter off to college, having my daughter get in a car accident, living in temporary living, having 2 dogs, running 2 businesses, and a team and a staff of 40 people, you weren't as busy as I was. And yet I showed up, not because I have superpowers, not because I'm better, because I have these systems and intentionality and a mindset that at least 1% a day is going to have to be what it is. Now I'm getting myself back into systems that I had before I moved, and I am intentional about making sure that I get there. So I want to just start off with that. And I hope you like the kitchen and the environment. I'm super excited about it. All right. And today, thinking about our thinking is going to be the theme, because again, I can teach y'all how to eat. I have done that for years. It's actually the easy part. I know so many of you have this confusion about food. Put in the comments, confusion. If you have been like, I do not know what to do, I get it. That's why we have our diet disruptors, because I want to help you find food freedom. I love that Brinks TV signed me and my partner in crime, Mark McDonald, celebrity nutritionist, to do a daily TV show on nutrition. Most watched TV show in the world, by the way. We get about 2 million viewers a day. I love that. But I also love my heart and soul in disruptive nutrition and with my diet disruptors, which is why I want to continue to show up just for you in this very special way. And teaching people how to eat, to balance their blood sugar, understanding the importance of balancing your blood sugar, not just about weight, because let's be honest, we keep thinking I have to lose weight, and then I'll get healthy. There are plenty of skinny, unhealthy people out there. And just because you might not have a flat stomach, it doesn't mean you're not healthy. We have to redefine what the diet culture has told us is acceptable, is beautiful, and is what we should do. I mean, think about it. Back in the day with Marilyn Monroe, the ideal body type was very different than it was when Twiggy's ideal body type was there, right? And society just keeps adjusting and telling us what the perfect body is. And then we keep trying to change our body into something that it's not because we don't like ourselves. Well, we can't all be the same body. We are all unique and special individuals that has a purpose on this earth. And all we keep doing, it's like it's our job to find the right diet or to weigh a certain amount. Diet culture keeps telling us we have to change our body. I am here to tell you that my goal for each of us is to get to our optimal health. And I know sometimes healthy gets thrown around and we think we really mean like skinny, but I really mean healthy. When we get to our optimal health, our body will bring us to where it's supposed to be weight-wise. But we keep thinking about my optimal weight is blank, and then we think that's going to equal our optimal health. It's not true. Our optimal health will bring us to our optimal weight, whatever that is. It may not actually be what you think it should be. And in order to understand that and really, truly be able to live with food freedom, be able to serve your purpose because you are dying younger later, be able to have a higher quality of life that your kids do not have to care for you with, to be able to make sure that you are not one of the 9 out of 10 people dying from metabolic disease today in their 60s and 70s, you have to be searching for a lifestyle that is grounded in cultivating a relationship between you and your body that shows up for it, just like I did, despite the chaos, because I love myself too much not to. I always say there is a reason why every single airplane in every single country, no matter what the language is, I mean, let's be honest, we can't agree on a single darn thing in this country. Nothing. But we can agree, no matter where you go, that you have to put on your own oxygen mask first before you put on others. We have a shirt in our shop that says that. Go get it. You need it as a reminder. If you don't put on your own oxygen mask, you can't take care of others. This can't be about, I want to look a certain way in a bathing suit. This is around serving our purpose. And until we get our mindsets right, we will constantly be searching for this unobtainable goal that we think will bring us confidence and happiness. I can't tell you how many times women say, when I say to you, why do you want to lose weight? And they say, I want to feel better. Okay. I can wrap my head around that, but losing weight will not necessarily make you feel better. Getting healthy will actually make you feel better. Weight is a byproduct of an unhealthy body. Your body cannot release weight to make it healthier if it needs to hold on to it because you are not serving it. But that aside, I keep hearing I will be confident when I look different. But what I will say to you is go back to when you looked different. Go back to when you were 20 or 30 and you weighed less. Were you on a diet? Were you confident? No. I know that there are plenty of thin people who have zero confidence and plenty of people who are on the larger side that exude confidence. It has nothing to do with what you look like on the outside. It has everything to do with your thoughts, your beliefs, and the inner conversations that you are having with yourself. Your mindset is the key. Your thoughts and your beliefs always will dictate your actions. But the internal struggle that you keep having will never get rectified because you are a few numbers smaller on a scale. So today we are going to talk about 5 mindset shifts that you have to make if you want to live a life of food freedom, if you really truly want to get off the dieting roller coaster, if you love yourself too much for it not to be healthy. Now, I will always say, you do not have to change your body to be healthy, but you do have to change your thinking. Okay? So I want you to put in the comments if you were watching me live or on the replay. Remember, we are in our free Facebook group, the Diet Disruptor Squad. If you are not a member of that, please go join us. We are in YouTube on Disruptive Nutrition. We also have our podcast, the Diet Disruptors podcast. That is where you can be listening on your way to work every week to be able to, or like when you're working out, whatever it is. So in one of those places, if you are in this podcast, please at the end, make sure you put a review and let us know how you are taking the lesson, how you are taking the learning. We put everything into it, my team and I, and we want to know. So give us a review. All right. Wherever you get your podcast. All right. So let's go. Number one, mindset shift. If you do not have a pad and paper, if you are driving, then okay, not to do that. But if you are with me, grab your phone and get the notes on it. Grab a piece of paper. These 5 mindset shifts you're going to want to write down. All right. Number one, put 1 in the comments. Number 1, self-awareness. When I speak either all around the country or on our television show or wherever I am, and I say to people, what do you think you need to do to really get healthy? Inevitably, people will always say, I need to eat better. I need to exercise. Nobody ever says, I need to be more self-aware. But I want you to think about this. Because of our thoughts and our beliefs, they dictate our actions. How many times do you go through life, go through your day, just reacting based on feeling, just living your life without really thinking about your thinking? Remember, I was an educator for more than 20 years, a special educator. Behavioral science is my jam. And I know the context and the power of metacognition. When you start thinking about your thinking, become more self-aware, understand your personality, your triggers, all of those pieces are going to help you to become actually more aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So if you've ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it, I'll argue that you do not know what to do necessarily if you're not really living what we call the PFC3 lifestyle. But even if you are, and I know this because I taught hundreds and hundreds of women for many years how to balance their blood sugar through food. It was amazing. It was like they finally were able to stop dieting, stop tracking, eating carbs all the time, and really, truly getting their bodies to where they had always wanted diets to get them to. But they didn't stick with it. 6 months, 12 months down the road, life showed up. And they looked at themselves and like, how did I get here? Lack of self-awareness. And that was on me because I wasn't doing the things that I knew as a behavior specialist I needed to do with people. So self-awareness, I always say self-consciousness is a disease. So I have people that think they're self-aware, but they're really self-conscious. And that will feed a disease. And that will literally completely keep you from being able to move forward. Self-awareness is what's health, not self-consciousness. And I want you to think about this like, you know, like when you were in college and you wrote a paper, I'm almost 50, right? So bear with me here because if any of you are really young, maybe you didn't do this, but I'm guessing most of you are around my age, right? Or older. You went to the library and you had like your yellow legal pad and you had books everywhere. Maybe you had that like machine. Remember that machine? It was like, right? The microfiche, I think it was called. The card catalog, right? We were going to the library and we had to dig deep. I can still remember papers that I had written, 30 years ago when I was in college. Because I had to dig deep. Did it take more time? Yes. Was it less efficient? Yes. But did I understand more? Nowadays, I Google search. I don't know, even just today, how many times I Google searched? A bunch. I don't remember what I Google searched. This is just an amazing, more efficient way of researching, but we learn a very little bit, right? And then we kind of take it and we don't even like check the sources, right? It's just the Google told us. So Google searching versus going to the library. We're going to learn a lot more. It's going to resonate with us and we are going to go deeper when we're at the library. But when's the last time any one of us went to the library? We just don't do it. Well, that's like what self-awareness is. To be very honest with you, we are like Google searching our way through life. We are not that aware of our thinking. We are not really analyzing why I do what I do. And we have a really hard time being able to dig in to what we do and why we do it, because we can pretty much get through our day without having to think that much about it. We're busy, we're checking things off the list. Maybe we're organized, maybe we're not, but we're not diving deep. And so one of the things that we have to do when it comes to self-awareness is be able to constantly check in with ourselves. And throughout this podcast here, I'm going to go through, and each one of these mindset shifts are going to bring us closer to self-awareness. So the first one is understanding that you are not self-aware enough. You never are. I have people that tell me I'm very self-aware. I'm like, okay, well, just that statement tells me you are not self-aware. You might be on the path, but we are never there. So I have a coach that helps me to become more self-aware. Every single one of us react based on our personality, based on triggers, based on anger. And we can't always be as self-aware in the moment. Self-awareness is not a destination. It is a journey that you will never get to. It is a constant evolution. Self-awareness, you ready? That's number one. The second mindset shift that we need to have is understanding progress. Every time I talk to a woman, and if you have not gotten on a call with us, you need to. My coaches, in order to be a coach, they all have to be able to take calls with women, whether they work with us or not, to be able to, I always say, if you want something different, you got to do something different. Get on a call, talk to us, and we are going to rock your world around how to think differently. So when I say, what are your goals? What do you want? They're always saying, I want to lose weight. Why? Well, because, and then I'll be confident, then I'll be happy, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, when we work with our clients, we are literally throwing away the scale. And my question is, how do you know you're making progress if you don't have a scale? And if we are on a journey to optimal health, right? We are divorcing ourselves from the concept that weight is our goal. And if we are looking at optimal health as our goal, are you ever really there? No, it's like a marriage. I want you to think about this. If you have a strong marriage, and if you don't have a strong marriage, then this is going to resonate with you even more. If you have a strong marriage, you know you can't just be like, okay, our marriage is really strong. Boom, I don't need to work on it anymore. It will no longer be a strong marriage. It's not like you can have a garden outside, plant your roses or your tomatoes, and then be like, look, I have roses. Okay, I never have to touch it again. No, you need to continue to cultivate the relationship with a friend, with a spouse, with your garden, with yourself. And so you need to redefine progress. Progress cannot be a number on a scale because you have no control over that, to be very honest with you. If you have a goal of weighing a certain amount, you have no control over that number. You have control whether the number goes up, because weight gain is a symptom of health and hormones. But you don't need a scale to tell you if that number is going up. And your body is talking to you every minute of every day. It will not release weight unless it has trust with you, because it's holding on to weight because it loves you so much. It's a protectant. When you have more energy, when you are sleeping better, there's a variety of ways that your body is going to tell you that what you're doing is speaking its love language. And how are you going to do that? By showing up every day, eating in a way that balances your blood sugar, truly understanding your body's love language, balancing your 6 spinning plates, nutrition, exercise, water, sleep, supplements, and managing your stress. And when you do that, 1% progress every day, you will never get to a finish line. Progress is around measuring consistency and up-leveling your game, but goals should not be around a number or even fitting into a certain piece of clothing. Your goals should be around, how often did I show up for myself this week? I have a goal of showing up for myself in some way 7 days a week to move my body. That's, I'm just saying, now you can make it anything you want. That's controlled by you. That's measurable. This other stuff is not. So mindset shift number 2 is redefine progress. Number 3, what are your rackets? This is a big one. Put rackets in the comments. Okay, here's what I want you to think about. Not a racket like a tennis racket. I want you to think about a racket like a scheme. You know, like a money-making scheme where you're like, that's a racket. Okay, there's usually a long-term consequence, right? They usually get caught somewhere, like they go to jail or they get caught or whatever it is. Like a Ponzi scheme, right? Kind of thing. That's a racket. Well, there's always a short-term payoff. And typically in a racket, it's money, right? You get some sort of a payoff. I want you to think about the rackets in your head. It's a little voice that has been with you forever. That voice does not change, but it's very convincing. You actually think it's true. And you believe it. And when you believe a racket, There's always going to be a long-term consequence, but there will be a short-term payout. So what do I mean by that? Let's think about how there might be, we'll talk to women if we're talking to them and we talk about whether or not they're either going to work with us or not work with us, and they get nervous. Maybe they get nervous about investing in themselves because they've never done that before. And they say, you know what, I can't do this. I can't invest in myself because I don't stick to anything. I can't stick with anything. I've proven that to myself over and over again. That right there is a racket. Let's do another one. I don't have time to work out. My life is so crazy and chaotic. I can't devote my time to taking care of myself right now. I'm taking care of my parents. I'm moving. I don't have time. All of these are rackets. And what do I mean by that? You have this truth and belief that is your perspective, and I call it truthiness. Yeah, life might be chaotic right now, but it is not completely true that you will fail at the next thing. It is not completely true that you don't have time. You have told yourself this, and there's a long-term consequence for that, right? If you truly believe that you fail at everything, then you will never be successful at anything. Long-term consequence. But what's the short-term payout? Well, it's not money. It's justification. You can justify not putting on your own oxygen mask. You can justify not showing up for yourself because of the racket. The racket has you believing you can't do that right now. And so you say no to yourself. You don't figure out how to get control of time. You don't learn how to balance your blood sugar. You don't dig into your mindsets. You don't say yes to yourself. And it's justified because of the racket. There will be a long-term consequence. 10, 20 years, if you make it that long, you're going to see what it is. And that's why I get real urgent for women. So I want you to think about your rackets. What are your rackets? Think about this right now. Let's go into some metacognition. Think about your thinking. This is all how you become more self-aware. What are rackets that you are sitting in right now? Put them in the comments. What are the rackets? Do you believe you don't have enough time? Do you believe you don't have enough money? Do you believe that you have too many other people to take care of? You can't care for yourself? Do you believe that you don't have a gym near you, so you can't do it? Do you believe that you don't have a grocery store that has healthy food by you? Do you believe that you don't have time to be able to learn something? Whatever it is, it's a racket. I think about the path to food freedom all the time, and I'm like, okay, it is truly food freedom. Do you have to think about it? Yeah, but just like your money, if you're really truly like hoarding all your money and very, very frugal, you're not going to live a life and you're going to be obsessive. Or if you just go and spend like, forget it, I'm not going to think about money anymore, then you're going to be broke. There is something to think about as we teach how to have food freedom. But anything that is important is worth thinking about. So I have heard rackets like, well, I don't want to have to think at all about food. That's a racket. That's justifying you not showing up for yourself and not learning this. The long-term consequence is going to be significant for all of us. It's a math equation, 2 + 2 = 4. If you have been on a blood sugar roller coaster, which means if you have dieted at any point in your life, you absolutely have. If you have been gaining weight and you don't understand why, if you have been on the struggle bus with energy and cravings, especially cravings, and a lack of sleep, that is your body talking to you, and you are going down a certain path. If you have had blood work and you are like insulin resistant, if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, any of these things, that is your body talking to you. You cannot afford the rackets. All right, number 4. Oh my gosh, I have so much to talk about here. All right, I want you to put in the comments self-sabotage, okay? Because what ends up happening is we get into a lack of self-awareness around self-sabotage. And this is why we do it. Write down the word different. As soon as you do something new, think about self-sabotaging. I always self-sabotage, right? Like if you say that, there's a reason for it. And I'm going to like unleash it here. The cycle of self-sabotage constantly happens when we know we need to make a change, right? Now, if you're going down the dieting rabbit hole, your body is not going to be in any sort of physiological balance. So self-sabotage becomes inevitable because your body will not allow you to continue doing that thing that you've been doing for so long. But even if I taught you how to eat to balance your blood sugar, you will still self-sabotage if you're not in front of it. Because what ends up happening is you say yes to yourself, right? You decide to make a change. You make the change, you start to feel better. And you're like, this is great. If you've ever been on a diet, you've done this too. You're like, this is great. I'm losing weight, blah, blah, blah. But then your body can't handle it. So you'll self-sabotage for multiple reasons. But even when you're eating PFC3 in the way that we teach, you're gonna be like, this is great. But your body says, or your brain says, oh wait, I feel different. Different in your brain does not matter if it's good or bad different. It's just different. And as soon as it becomes different, like, oh my gosh, I have to think differently about food. Oh my gosh, I have to think about what is a protein? What's a fat? What's a carb? That feels different. Our body doesn't like different. It craves familiarity. And if you have been on the dieting roller coaster for decades, if you have been self-sabotaging for decades, whatever it is, that is the familiar. Your body subconsciously will go to the familiar. You will then get yourself right back into that place. You will self-sabotage. You won't understand why, and you will start the cycle all over again. Boom, boom, boom. That is why you believe you have always failed, because nobody has taught you that cycle, and you haven't been taught how to recognize when that trigger happens and what to do about it just before. So you want to be aware, again, self-awareness, that when you do something different, your body is going to want to automatically get back on the road it's familiar with and not go down this road it doesn't know, even if it's a better road. You got to recognize when that trigger is going to happen, because that cycle of self-sabotage will happen even if I teach you how to eat. But again, I love teaching all of this so that it doesn't happen. Okay, the last mindset shift that you need to think about is around your brain. Behavioral scientists here love brain stuff because behavioral change requires us to understand more than just food. So I won't just give you a meal plan. Okay, I want you to think about a couple areas of your brain. You have the hippocampus and you have the amygdala. Hippocampus is like your Wikipedia of your brain. It's your knowledge center, okay? Put knowledge down in the comments if you're with me. The knowledge center of your brain. And it's big. It's a big piece of it. And this is really rotten. I know what to do, but I just don't do it. You can learn the concepts that I teach you. That's easy, right? The amygdala is this tiny little kind of like nugget in the back of your brain there. And when you get emotional, whether you get angry or really happy or very hungry because your blood sugar is super low, which impacts your emotions and actually increases cravings, when you are excited, when you are sad, all of these things, even bored, your amygdala gets bigger. And when your amygdala gets bigger, your hippocampus actually gets smaller. So think about this. If this is what you know, your hippocampus is what you know, and your amygdala is your emotion center and it's smaller. If your emotion center gets bigger and it's got to make up the room, your hippocampus is going to get smaller. So now suddenly rationalization and knowledge goes out the window and your emotions kick in. So if you've ever done a binge eating before and then later you feel guilty, that was an amygdala hijack. And when your amygdala is hijacked, you can rationalize going on a self-sabotage route. Any of these things, it happens to me today if I am too hungry. I'm like, forget it, just give me carbs, I don't care. And I will throw out all the rationalization. And I teach this stuff, you guys. I built my whole career on this stuff, and it happens to me. If it happens to me, it'll happen to you. But if you are aware of it, and one of the ways that I am always working on being aware is taking the stuff that's living on the inside of my brain, whether it's a racket, whether it's my amygdala hijack, anything that's happening as I become more self-aware, and I say it out loud. I basically narrate out loud what it is that I am saying in my brain. If you've ever said like, oh, that sounds different when I say it out loud than in my brain. You say it out loud, it actually moves it from the right brain to the left brain, which is your rational side, your problem-solving side. And that's powerful because that amygdala hijack, when that's happening, if you're saying it out loud, you're going to be able to move over to the left side. If you are in the middle of self-sabotage and you're talking out loud, it's going to move over to the left side of your brain. If you are focusing on weight and not really thinking about progress in the way that you need to be showing up for yourself, say it out loud. It's going to bring it over to the left side of your brain. When your amygdala is hijacked, you will rationalize all sorts of behavior that you wouldn't do if your hippocampus was larger than your amygdala. So a big, quick strategy on how to do this is to do what we call the SNAP strategy. Stop, notice, ask, pivot. Stop where you are, And if you don't have self-awareness, you're never going to be able to do this. So this is why self-awareness is so important. 1, stop. 2, notice. Notice what you're thinking. What is the racket? What is my amygdala saying? Whatever it is, just notice it. 3, ask. Ask yourself, is this true? Who told me that? What if this is not true? I don't have time to work out. What if this is not true? I always fail at everything. I'm afraid I'm going to fail again. Oh, but what if that's not true? Ask yourself these questions and then pivot. Suspend that thought that little voice is telling you and pivot to something else. You don't have to fully believe it. Just pivot over there for a minute. Get it out of there. Let your amygdala calm down. Get your self-sabotage under control. Bring those rackets down to a level that doesn't allow you to justify not showing up for yourself. Pivot for a minute and see what happens. The more you can snap, the more aware you're going to be. And these 5 mindset shifts, self-awareness, redefining progress, understanding your rackets, seeing self-sabotage before it happens, and recognizing amygdala hijacks, huge. All right? So if you are now ready to stop those rackets from overtaking, let's get you on a call. If you have ever been on a call and you're like, I really want to work with them, but I don't know, I can't afford it, or I am scared, or what if it doesn't work? Those are rackets. We have the ability to get every single person we talk to on a path. Every single financial situation, every single living situation. We have a way to get you on that path. Do not let a racket talk you out of showing up for yourself, because the long-term implications are devastating. I hope that this is helpful. Put in your comments what you're taking away from this. If you are on the podcast, either on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you are, please put a comment in here about how our podcast is helping, and any requests for topics, we are absolutely willing and able and want to be able to give you. We're here to serve. All right, you guys, remember, wherever you are in disruptive nutrition, there is a place for you. Get yourself on a call and let's talk. Thanks.